and the spread of Bhakti culture. Today is our honor to welcome Madhava Prabhuji and Radhika Mataji. Madhava Prabhu is well known in every temple of Srila Prabhupada, but we want to take a delighted opportunity to introduce him. Madhava Prabhu was born in Mauritius and he grew up in his Kirtan life in Vrindavan, India, under the tutelage of His Grace Indra Prabhu, where Madhava Prabhu was the prime pillar to run the 24-hour Sankirtan in Vrindavan. At that point of time, he was given the really tough hours of midnight to 4 a.m. to perform the Kirtans. He mentions that during these times, it was just between him and Krishna, and that is when his Kirtans intensified. With his training under Indra Prabhu, Madhava Prabhu travels right now around the world, serving various sannyasis of ISKCON in their services to Srila Prabhupada, in spreading the glories of the holy name around the world. 3 words that describe His Grace Madhava Prabhu: intense, mesmerize, and humble. He is intense in his own personal sadhana or practice of Kirtan, which makes his Kirtans mesmerizing. On a personal level, he is very humble and a grounded personality, and it has to be so because he has been doing Kirtan all his life. So we are very happy that in his orbit, he has chosen to come to ISKCON of Silicon Valley today, and we welcome you all to please join in chanting of the holy name. It is a call and response Kirtan. Madhava Prabhu will be leading the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, and we can all chant, sing, and dance from our hearts for the pleasure of their lordships today with the one and only Madhava. Without further ado, please join me in welcoming Madhava Prabhu and Radhika Mataji to ISV with a loud Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna. So we are expecting a lot more devotees. So just few housekeeping things. So if you see that room, right now we have plenty of space, but when it gets filled up, please move forward so we can accommodate more devotees, okay? And those who are in the front, you can actually move forward now so that way we don't disturb the kirtan. And also we're going to have at 5 to 5:30 p.m., we're going to have the sitting kirtan as well. So then just continue to stay seated, okay? All right? Okay, Hare Krishna. Take it away, Prabhu.
So Hare Krishna, so before we start Kirtan, we will speak about the holy name. Hari Kirtan is incomplete and improper without Harikatha. And Harikatha is the Swarup Shakti of Hari Kirtan. So we'll start with Jarada Madhava and then we'll speak a little bit about Kirtan.
Hare
Nama Vishpadaya Krishna Vishabdaya Shrimati Tama Krishna Swamiji Namine. Nama Om Vishpadaya Krishna Vishabdaya Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swamiji Namine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharine. Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Pashkachari Shatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda. Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome to this Sunday feast. And thank you for the opportunity of Seva. So we hope, with the mercy of the Vaishnavas, Srila Prabhupada, all the Acharyas, and our beloved deities, something meaningful will manifest. So first, we'll talk about Krishna. We'll try. Krishna cannot be known. Yeah. We learn from Shastra and we know ourselves, so we are very limited. Our size is 1/10,000 baht, the tip of a hair. If we take a hair, we pull out, it's got a little bulb. We divide that bulb into 100, if we can, 100 pieces, each piece into 100 again. That's our size. Invisible. Very limited. I'm sitting here talking to you. I don't know what's going on behind my head. And who is Krishna? Unlimited. No back, no front, no inside, no outside. Anybody understands that? What is no inside, no outside? That's what Bhagavatam says. In the part of Krishna book, when he's killing the demons, Krishna is explained. So unlimited, we have no concept while in this physical world what it means to be unlimited. So when we come to Krishna, what are we looking for? He says himself, 4 kinds of people come to me. So all of us, we will fit into one of these categories. Either curious, in distress, looking for material progress, or knowledge. We all fit into either one or more of these categories in the beginning. We should not stay there. Why? Because this is only social. If we stay on that level, coming to Krishna for shelter, this is called coming to Krishna for shelter. It has nothing to do with spiritual practices. It's about I, me, and mine. My curiosity, my distress, my material progress. I want to know how the world works. But still, Krishna says, of all the 4 categories that come to me, the person who is in knowledge is best. Why is he best? Because the 3 others, as soon as whatever they need is fulfilled, they will leave. They will not be interested in Krishna anymore. Now, the one who is in knowledge may break through that gyan to want transcendence. And that Krishna himself explains. Out of thousands, hardly one will seek perfection. Now, anyone sitting here, are we so sure we are looking for perfection? Are we? What does looking for perfection means? Looking for perfection means I am looking to know I am Atma. I have nothing to do with this perishable body. And whatever is connected to this body is actually meaningless. Because as soon as a dear family member dies, the body is lying on the floor, I get it out of my house as fast as possible. That's what we do. So where was the connection there? So when we understand that, and we want to know, I am Atma, and start to act on that platform, this means I am looking for perfection. So how many of us, honestly, are looking for that today, here, sitting here. Are we? You are? How old are you? 13. So you're 13 and you're looking to know your Atma. It can start at 5 years old. If we are, even if we don't always practice it, but we know in theory even, already it's a beginning. It's a huge beginning. Otherwise, all that we're doing, we're staying on the platform of looking for shelter, coming to a temple looking for shelter, and then continuing in this repeated birth and death again and again, again and again. Now, that's one level. Do we want to know Krishna? What does he say, the next verse? Out of thousands of perfected beings, hardly one knows me in truth. So it means I have to know first I am Atma. And when I know I am Atma, I also see Paramatma. And when I want, many yogis just stay there. Perfection. But if I want to rise above that perfection, this is when I'm seeking Krishna. And he doesn't give himself so easily. In Brihad Bhagavatamrita, it is written, in the Vaikuntha Loka, there are many planets, right? Planets of Ramachandra, Nrsingadev, all the incarnations of Vishnu, they all have a planet. Goloka Vrindavan is far removed from those planets. To become an associate of Krishna is supremely rare. We have to want it. We have to actually, physically, with emotions and feeling, want it. And if we decide we want it, there's a process. Yeah. In this Kali Yuga, we are so fortunate because the process can take us directly there without going through what the yogis would go through. You meditate, I see my Atma, I see Paramatma and Atma sitting next to each other. It is explained, the yogi would meditate on the chakra on the abdomen and observe blood running through the arteries. And traveling on that blood, go to the heart chakra. And there they see Paramatma and Paramatma sitting next to each other. And then, traveling on the chakra of the neck, they arrive at the Brahmarandra, the topmost chakra. And from there they can ascend. They split the skull, they ascend. And where do they ascend? We don't really know. It could be any of the Vaikuntha planets. But to want Krishna is something completely different. Krishna Prema is very, very rare because it means Krishna is giving himself. So the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra is a way, very fast way to achieve that goal. But still, it's a process. We have to understand the process. In the beginning, Prabhupada explains in one of the conversation with the devotees. In the beginning, he says, I did not speak any philosophy. I just said, chant Hare Krishna. Because I knew you would not understand. So I knew once you start chanting, then the heart gets a little bit purified, then you can understand. So it means the chanting purifies, but it's not enough. We have to understand how it works, where we are, where is Krishna, what is that link. And to do that, we go to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself. Because Krishna is a person. Prabhupada says, like us, but also not like us. In quality we are the same, in quantity we are not the same. And he's all spiritual, whereas right now, because we are so small, like we said, 1/10,000 part the tip of a hair, covered with a material body that is how many billions of times bigger than the soul? Billions of times. So that's the reason why Prabhupada uses the word, we are very powerful, but we are being subdued. Subdued. That's the reason we are dull. It's very hard. We're chanting Hare Krishna, nothing is happening. That's the reason, because the material body is so big and we identify with this mind, with intelligence, with the senses. Now, I think it's a Prema Vivarta. It is said there is a very subtle, no, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, there's a very subtle difference between aprakrita, which is transcendental, and adhyatmika, which is psychological. What does psychological mean? It means the mind, the state of mind being affected with emotions. So whatever you think is colored with our emotions based on senses. So it's a very subtle difference. What is actually spiritual? What is actually mental speculation? In the spiritual, he says, in transcendence, there is an absence of mental, of speculative knowledge. That's what he says. But it's very hard to distinguish. Because whatever we do, whatever we hear, immediately in our mind, what do? We form a conclusion. We all understand the same thing differently, based on how we process it. But spiritual life, spiritual knowledge should come into our understanding without being corrupted by our emotions and feelings. It's very hard. So that chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra is what purifies us, purifies our understanding. Now there's a way to chant, of course. I will quote Jagadananda Pandit from the Prema Vivarta. He's talking about the Maha Mantra. He says the name and the possessor of the name are one. We understand that, right? This is clear. And he says we will not understand this in this material world. And he explains why. He says we can realize this with our pure practice. Pure practice, which is really very hard. It means when I'm chanting my rounds, I give my full attention to my rounds. Maybe at home, I create a sacred space. This is where I always chant my rounds. I don't bring my phone. I don't bring my computer. I'm not thinking about my list of groceries or what to cook or about the kids or school or work or anything. Everything, that period of time is for Krishna. Now see, it comes back to the same basic point. If I want Krishna, that's what I do. If I don't want, then I can do whatever I want. He doesn't push. Even at the end of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna tells Arjuna, have you understood? Is your mind clear? Now deliberate and do what you want. With Krishna, there is no rituals. There's a difference between rituals and rules and regulations. Rules and regulations are for our benefit. When we go to some demigods, we do some rituals to please the demigod, so that they give us what we want. With Krishna, it doesn't work like that. It will never work like that. Even when we see whoever is very dear to Krishna, who was very dear to Krishna? Draupadi, very dear to Krishna. Subhadra, the sister of Krishna. How did Draupadi's sons die? Murdered in their sleep. How could Krishna allow that? Anybody understands Krishna? Draupadi is his own sister. We worship Subhadra. Subhadra I'm talking about. We worship Subhadra, Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra on the altar. How was Abhimanyu killed? 7 Maharathis surrounded him, was shooting arrows when he was not looking. Finally, the son of Dushashan comes with a mace and from behind strikes him on the head and kills him. While he was in this chakra formation of Chaturvyuha and nobody could come in and save him. Very dear to Krishna, but look what he does. Can we understand Krishna? Can we actually come to Krishna for material relief? He says, when I like you, I will give you more trouble. That's what he does. Many years ago, in a class, one devotee was saying, if you are practicing devotional life and there is no problem, no obstacle, nobody is challenging you, everything's going on smoothly, you must understand you're such a big rascal that not even Maya cares. Think about it. Krishna, when he cares, you know that, right? If the child on the street is misbehaving, are you going to go and correct that child? You might be concerned, but you won't. But if your own child is misbehaving and you know what the child is doing is not going to help that child, you're going to correct that child. So Krishna cares. So we cannot approach Krishna with a preconceived idea. With Krishna, we have to understand he is subject, I am object. Because all the time, how we behave in this world is, I am subject. Everything else is for my facility. It's such a 180-degree turn, and it's not easy. When Gopakumar goes to Goloka Vrindavan with Uddhava, he says, it is so difficult to arrive here. That's Gopakumar speaking in Brihat Bhagavatamrita. And he's with Uddhava. So difficult to arrive here, and the process is also not easy, it's so difficult. So think again, whatever we're talking about, that level of surrender. If we want Krishna, that's what we do. We are in a temple where Krishna is reigning supreme. So that's what we're going to talk about. It's completely all up to us. He has already said it himself. Amongst thousands, hardly one will seek perfection. Among thousands of perfected beings, who sitting here can say, I am a perfected being? Anybody can say that? Hardly one will know me in truth. How rare it is. But somehow, he also wants us to come back to him. That's the reason he comes to do his earthly pastimes, to attract us. Look, whatever you're looking for down here, you can have it up there without cessation. There is no death, disease, old age that's going to interrupt that relationship. And you will be forever blissful. So he wants us to come back. We have to take that decision ourselves. So there is a way, a process to also chant Hare Krishna. So first of all, most of you sitting here would know there are the 10 offenses to be avoided when chanting Hare Krishna. But the worst of all, which actually instigates all the other offenses, is to be inattentive. When he comes there in front of us, when we're starting to chant, and we ignore him, he's a person. Again and again, we have to understand that. Prabhupada says in one lecture of Chaitanya Charitamrita, we have to try to know Krishna. And Krishna speaks about himself in the Bhagavad Gita. That time, only the Bhagavad Gita was translated, where Krishna speaks about himself. Later, we have Uddhava Gita, the later parts of the Srimad Bhagavatam. He says, read the Bhagavad Gita, and there Krishna speaks about himself. And then he says, at the end, if we are fortunate, he doesn't say we become an associate of Krishna. What do you think he says? And at the end, if we are fortunate, then we surrender. Do we understand? We have to be very alert and alive, actually, to understand what is Krishna consciousness. Do we understand from which level surrender starts? From the level of knowing Krishna. But then who knows him? It is said that maybe Brahma, Kapila, Narada, maybe they know Krishna. Nobody else knows him. But nobody knows his intentions. Nobody. So when Prabhupada speaks about knowing Krishna from the Bhagavad Gita, we're trying to digest whatever Krishna is talking about himself and how things work. From that, we are convinced that person, Krishna, is real. Everything comes from him. I am part of him, and I want to love him. And then we surrender. We do anything it takes to become an associate of Krishna. So normally, nowadays people don't join temples so much anymore. We join the temple. In the beginning, you don't really understand. Like I was saying, we come because of one of the 4 reasons, or one or more. But coming into a temple, we have to automatically learn surrender, tolerance, submission, which is very important structure when we start our devotional practice. It's not just about chanting rounds. We also have to physically do something. We come to the temple. Let's say we enter, some garland, flowers is on the floor. Without saying anything, we just clean it. Something that comes spontaneously because we have feelings for Krishna. We have feelings for his temple. So menial service is so important because that is what is going to create that feeling when we serve. We may not like it. When we first join, normally Bhaktins, the first thing they do is they go and clean toilets. We had to go and clean toilets. Madhava had to clean toilets. Talk about it. Okay, he doesn't want to speak. He was saying how many times Ayendra Prabhu would go and clean toilets, not just the one time. The first time he went to clean toilets with Ayendra Prabhu was when he did not want to clean the toilet. And Ayendra Prabhu says, come with me. It will do you good. And Madhava said, you say it because I never...
Yeah, I was 18 actually when Ayendra was a mridanga player, and he came knocking on my door. He said, "Madhava, let's go clean toilets." I thought he was joking. He's a Prabhupada disciple, and he's going to clean toilets. I couldn't really understand that, and he told me, "This is going to be good for you. It's going to clean your heart." And I told him, I never cleaned toilets ever in my life, not even at home. And I told him, no, I'm not going to go clean toilets. And he went out of the room, went to his room, and there was this screen door. So I was watching, and he came out of his room with a pair of hand gloves and a gallon of acid, and was walking towards the brahmachari toilets. And then it just gave me like a minute to think, okay, here's this wonderful devotee who has so much attachment for the holy names, and he's willing to get his hands dirty to clean the toilets, and I'm this 18-year-old kid, full of myself, full of ego. And I just ran, put on my gamsha, and joined him, and we cleaned toilets for like 3-4 hours, and Aindaru was singing. It was all blissful. It was one of the best experiences I've had.
And also it was a brahmachari toilet in Vrindavan. You can imagine what it must have been like. Pretty gross. And yeah, so that chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra gives realizations on so many levels that has nothing to do with mundane social structure. When Prabhupada first came, you must have read in the Prabhupada Lilamrita, he never asked anybody. He would cook the Sunday love feast himself alone. He never asked anybody for help. He would cook, he would serve. When they would all leave, he would clean. How old was he? 71? After 2 heart attacks. Elderly, spiritual person. It was a shock for him to come to the United States. When Jamuna Devi was telling us, he was saying his mother never really walked on the streets in Calcutta. They would travel in palanquin. From that to come to the hippie times, where people hardly wore any clothes, it must have been such a shock. He served. So once, Gaur-Kishore Das Babaji, just another example, to run away from mundane people who would harass him. Swamiji, blessing Swamiji. As if it is something you buy like you buy bread. You know how you get blessings, actually? Blessings come from the heart. When the person from whom you're looking blessings from, feels happy in the heart by whatever we've done. Maybe we arranged a good program or whatever, did some exceptional service, and the person feels happiness in the heart. That is automatically blessings. So Gaur-Kishore Das Babaji, to escape all these mundane people, it's very hard to have kids in front like that. It's very distracting. During Kirtan, it's okay, but when we speak, it's the mind is already, can they stay still? Normally, if you want kids in front, give them something to scribble, It's not nice to force them. They are kids. Gaur-Kishore Das Babaji, to escape mundane people, stayed in a latrine. Who would want to even be there? You do your business, you get out as fast as possible. So once somebody reaches a certain level, what goes on this physical plane matters no more. No more. It seems so simple. The process is chanting Hare Krishna. How hard can that be? I know, I just take my japa, I start Hare Krishna, I'm driving Hare Krishna, whatever. It's actually very hard. Because the mind is the most difficult to control. All these other yugas, there was a process of self-realization, which demanded efforts. You sit down to meditate for 60,000 years. To do yagyas, you needed golden plates. You had to do the yagyas for at least 100 years. Why? Because 6 months of the demigods is equal to 1 moment on planet Earth. And that we can understand. because even the scientists say 2 weeks on the moon is equal to 1 day here on Earth. We can understand that time difference. So when we do yagyas, if we don't do it for 6 months, the demigods won't even see it. So our 1 hour yagya is actually meaningless. So the only yagya that does count is the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. But the process is, there's a price to pay. Prabhupada says cheap, easy but not cheap. We have to train the mind. It's very, very, very hard. Obstinate, whimsical, turbulent, Arjuna's words, and more difficult to control than the wind. But Krishna says, how? Constant practice and determination. When I fail, I'm not attached to the failure. I failed, okay, I will start again and try. There's one very interesting verse that I was reading. So, Jagannananda Pandit says, the name and the person, they are one. He says, with great care, we try to realize this truth. We have to try. Otherwise, our service will remain imperfect, and we will only be chanting on the platform of Namabhas. With our own effort, we can only come to the platform of Namabhas. Shuddhanam will be given to us by Krishna. This we cannot practice to get. It's not possible. But, he says, on that Namabhas platform, we will never realize that the name and the person are one. So it seems hopeless. But then he says, but when we carefully and constantly chant Namabhas, carefully and constantly, the Lord, Krishna himself, will mercifully grant us realization of the truth that his name and himself are one through that Namabhas chanting. So there is that hope there. And we have to be sincere. It is said Krishna can forgive millions of offenses of his devotees if it is without pretension. He doesn't like pretension. Pretending to be something we are not. We have to be honest. So when we start chanting Hare Krishna, Nam Nam Akari Bahuda Nija Sarva Shaktish, you have hundreds and thousands of names. In each and every name, you have invested your full potency. But I am Durdaiva, unfortunate. Idisham Ihajani Nanuraga. I don't have no attraction for any one of these names. So if I can actually, I'm honestly, I don't. How many of us can honestly say we are attracted to the holy name? How many of us feel relief when the 16 rounds are over? If it's not over, it's like it's hanging on my head, a burden. How many, when we are real, then we know what we are, where we are. Then we can pray. That is when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu speaks the third verse. Chinadapi sunichena. Because when I realize I don't have taste, and maybe I don't even want to try to have taste. I just do the 16 rounds as a ritual because this is what I'm supposed to do. There's no emotions there, no feelings there. But if I know myself, I accept, but I'm trying. Oh Krishna, please give me some kind of feeling when I chant. On that level, I can chant Chinadapi Sunichena because I am helpless to change anything. How can I be puffed up? So when I'm chanting my rounds, I'm chanting in a humble state of mind because I am so fallen. And in that humble state of mind, there can be some reciprocation from Krishna. And one of the reciprocations can be that I want to chant good rounds. Even if the whole 16 is not so good, at least at one point, some of the rounds, I want to make it good rounds. I want to get up 10 minutes earlier or whatever realistic to you, half an hour, whatever is realistic. Don't pretend. Don't do something only for 6 months and then it's finished, never to come again. And you don't want to try it because you are thinking, oh no, I tried and then I failed and then no, I don't want to go there again. Realistic, whatever it takes. A little bit push we have to do. And then maybe one good round in the morning before anything else. It's not for me. It's because I want to love someone. Krishna. Again, the same basic question is there. But do I want Krishna? If I want him, this is what I will do. When we sit down in Kirtan, Madhava Prabhu will start Kirtan in about 10 minutes. Again, it's the same exact process and effort like japa. I'm going to sit, hear carefully the mantra, and then chant. And that should go on during the whole kirtan. I close my eyes. Why? Because I don't want to get distracted. I noticed, especially with the devotees sitting up front, every time something happens, that's what happens. Every time the eyes go there, the eyes go there, we are distracted, even if for a few seconds, like when the children were doing something, it's distracting. But we do not want to be distracted. That's what yoga is. In the past, when the yogis would sit to do asanas, if anybody practices yoga, you practice an asana, it's a bit painful, you hold your breath, so many breaths, into the asana, into the pain. It's a practice to focus, to tolerate. And once we do that with asanas, when we sit down to meditate, we're able to at least focus the mind a little bit. That's what the purpose of all these asanas, to be able to come to the point of meditation, not just for bodily gymnastics. In the same way, when Kirtan starts, we close our eyes so as not to get distracted. And we use the ears. We know, right? It's a city of 9 gates, 5 gates, holes, or in that face, 2 gates in the nether regions. And whenever we are attacked by anything, greed, lust, anger, disease, it is always through one of the gates. Always through one of the gates. So by protecting the gates, we protect ourselves. So we protect the practice. Countless of lifetimes we've been in this world, trying something. One time, Jagatarini Mataji, wife of Burijan Prabhu, she told me they were in Hong Kong, long time ago when Prabhupada was still on the planet. It was very, very hard, very hard. There was no support really. There were hardly any Hindus there, because that always gives you support. And at that time, the people were really not interested into anything that is elevating and enlivening. So Prabhupada came somewhere, I can't remember where, and she and her husband, they went to see Srila Prabhupada. And she had already made up her mind, they're going to leave. They won't stay in Hong Kong anymore. And actually it was so hard that it shook her faith. She thought she's going to leave. So Prabhupada was in the room, she's waiting, and the door opens, Prabhupada walks out, she pays obeisances, and while still on the ground, Prabhupada has 2 feet in front of her. And she's starting to get up, so she's halfway up. Prabhupada leans down and says, 1 lifetime. 1 lifetime. 1 lifetime, just give it to Krishna. And it went so deep in her that she's still here. She never left. So countless of lifetimes we've been trying. This 1 lifetime, again, is a free will process. If we want Krishna, let's do it properly. Prabhupada says, if you have turned your face towards Krishna, ultimately he will get you. But why waste time? Do it in one lifetime. So it's 4:25. I will stop here. If anybody would like to share something, we have 5 minutes, or ask something, we'd be very happy with the exchange. Nobody? Yes. The microphone is down there, actually.
Yes. Hare Krishna, Mataji and Madhava Prabhuji, thank you very much for sharing such a wonderful realizations that how we become humble and also attempt to learn about the holy name. And I like your point that attention is the key to success that you've been serving. And it was very deepening also regarding Srila Prabhupada's message he gave that how dedicate one lifetime. And we have been doing, you're an example for us, and I'm very motivated. Thank you for coming here and sharing your realizations. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. You want to share something?
Haribol. Mataji, such
Yes.
very nice class. I like the 2 points. The city of 9 gates. You know, we are always tormented by lust, greed, anger. You know, the 3 things. Even Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that these are the 3 gates to hell. So, to escape these bad things, you know, if we can protect our 9 gates, close these 9 gates and see within ourselves, then we could be doing so much good to ourselves. And then the next point is, you said the body is going through, the soul is going through innumerable lives. You know, countless lives, you know, we have gone through. And we are struggling in this material world. If we can give one life to Krishna, you know, we can complete this journey successfully. Thank you so much.
This is Prabhupada. Yes. Okay. We'll come to you afterwards.
Hare Krishna, Radhika. Thank you for sharing and actually touching the foundation of the life is this: do we want to love Krishna? And if we want to love Krishna, and these are the steps, and how you touched on that, how it can come from the core of your heart, and it can become the life of you.
Yeah.
So thank you for touching that and you know, strengthening the foundation and bringing that to the surface. Thank you so much. And also I like the point about Madhava Prabhu's example with Ayendra Prabhu. And it is definitely, we can't do this alone, but with the help of the senior leader or Vaishnava, it is possible to achieve the prem that Madhava Prabhu has for the holy name by associating with somebody like Ayendra Prabhu and his sincere desire to even scrub the toilet, not for just 20 minutes, for hours. That is something very deeply touched me. Thank you for bringing that it's not about just the managing the upper level, but actually cleaning the inner core of us.
I would like to say something. When you said Madhava Prabhu's praying for the holy name, we have to be careful how we speak. Even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, I do not have anything for the holy name. It is best to hanker than to think we have. Because, there's one lecture where Prabhupada said we have to be very careful with Krishna. He doesn't give himself so easily. So if Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is actually hankering, and when he hankers, he says, so the next step is Nadanam Najaram Nasundarim. When we actually have the holy name, this is what happens. This is what we do not want. Danam Janam Sundarim. You can see that. It's a sequence, Kavita. And then comes Ainanda Tanuja Kinkara, your servant. Shishita Duli. Place me as one of the Duli, of the dust, as a particle at the dust of your lotus feet. So I know it's very nice to glorify devotees and all that, but at the same time, we have to also see how we speak. I'll just tell one story. My Gurudev, Tamakrishna Maharaj, was serving Srila Prabhupada in the last days. And Prabhupada was very, very sick. And he was drooling. And now when we read Chaitanya Charitamrita, we see when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was in ecstasy, he was also drooling. His body shape would change and he would be drooling. And so one day, Tamakrishna Maharaj went up to Prabhupada and said, "Oh, Prabhupada, everybody says that's your ecstasy." Prabhupada immediately stopped him and said, "Stop. This is dangerous. This is sahaja." Actually, we have to be so careful. We are all fighting. It's a service, like any other service. It's just because it's in the limelight right now. There's some kind of star quality attached to kirtaniyas. It's a service. Just like the cook, the head cook, the pujari, the temple president, it's a service. It's nothing more than a service. And we have to understand that. Otherwise, what will happen, the whole thing becomes mundane. And we do not understand why even are we in kirtan. Are we in kirtan to glorify, or are we in kirtan to get a good time? Are we waiting for the rhythm to pick up so that I can start and dance? It's all about me, and when I dance, I don't chant. Am I looking, oh, this one's got a good voice, that one's not so much, I'm not going to be there. Is this what I'm looking for? Oh, that melody, I don't like. Oh, this one, not so famous, so I'm not going to sit there. I'm going to go and sit in the other one. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur would have people who do not know how to sing lead kirtan. Their voice would croak because it's about the holy name. He says, unfortunately for us, without the distraction of musical instruments, talent, and good voice, we are not attracted. But the thing is, the whole point is it's a mantra. It's a Maha Mantra. Sometimes we've been in kirtan where people are dancing, for instance. One time, you know this melody? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. So listen very carefully. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Did you hear? And we've been in, because Indra originally sings it Krishna, Krishna. So if somebody is singing that, a lot of people, they want to accommodate the new one and the old one. So Krishna, Krishna, Hare, Hare, Hare. And then when the rhythm picks up, they are dancing. They are in bliss. So when they're dancing, what do you think they're dancing to? What? Somebody guess. What are they dancing to when they're dancing like that? To the rhythm. And just a matter of interest, do you know what is the original rhythm? Duk, 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 duk. It's a heartbeat. And for those of you who are Hindus, when the child, even before being born, you hear the heartbeat. What is the heartbeat crying? Duk, duk, not suk, suk. Duk, 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 duk. Already duk, duk. So we'll just take the last, and then we start Kirtan.
Hare Krishna, everybody. Jai Shri Sham. I have a kind of question. So basically, in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna tells us about three kinds of qualities, or like guds. Like he talks about Sadgud, Rajogud, and Tamogud, where he tells us what our intention should be and like what are different kind of activities that different kind of people do. So at one point, he says that if you are a person who has Rajogud, whenever you do a task, you have an expectation from that task. Like whenever you do something, you have in mind that I'm doing this to achieve this.
Yeah.
And this is something we should avoid and we should migrate towards Sadgud, right? But now when we do our Kirtan or any sort of puja, or as you mentioned about the chant rounds, at some point we do have this feeling, right, that I want to do this for my happiness. Because you just said that we want this kind of attention to our prayers. Like we just don't lamely say the name, but like we have that feeling of like, why are we saying that name? So isn't it kind of contradicting to the idea?
Okay, it's very, I don't know if I understand you very clearly. So you're saying that, I was saying that when we chant, we are chanting with expectation. No, we are not chanting with expectation. We're chanting to hear the mantra. There's no expectation there. When somebody is talking to you, you hear the person. So chanting the mantra is the same thing. There is no expectation in our activities. For instance, in Kirtan, we've been in places, I'll just be very fast because we should start Kirtan. In Kirtan, sometimes we've been in places where you put your 100%. If you're a Kirtan leader, you have to work a lot. Focus, chant, even if you see people maybe are inattentive, you give your 100%. And you don't feel it. Nothing is happening. There is no reaction. Sometimes everything is blissful, sometimes not. You just accept it. This is what Krishna wants to give in the moment. This is it, without attachment. In the same way, we are chanting. It's a practice. You're not looking for a result here. It's a practice. I'm practicing to hear the mantra. The result, that I don't know. It's up to Krishna.
Oh, so we need attention, but like not intention, probably, right?
What?
Like we need attention when we say, like when we do Kirtan, we want to be attentive, but we shouldn't have any expectation from that Kirtan, right?
Yes, exactly. We want to be very attentive to the words, but no expectation whatsoever. You know, Krishna will reciprocate as he wants.
Makes sense. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Vanchaka paripaka pasamecha patitanam pamivosha vivonamaha.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Namo Vishwadaya Krishna Vastaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityamani Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pachari Nirvishesha Shinivadi Namastityade Istari Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivedanta Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur tells us that Kirtan is meant only for Krishna's pleasure. So for the next hour or so, we're going to try and focus the mind on these three words, Hare, Krishna and Rama. And Srila Prabhupada tells us that in those three words, it contains everything that we need to go back home, back to Godhead. We just need to learn how to chant this mantra sincerely with love and devotion. So please focus. Whenever the mind is running away, bring it back to the kirtan, bring it back to the mantra, just like this child is doing. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. One more time again, a little louder. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Everybody, a little louder. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare one more time again, a little louder. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare One more time, a little louder. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Everybody, real loud. Hare One more time again, a little louder. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, One more time, very loud, with your heart. Hare Krishna, Hare Everybody, a little louder. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Everybody, please chant. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 One more time, a little louder. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Stand very loudly with your heart. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Shri Prabhupada ki, Shri Shri Gauranga ki, Shri Shri Krishna Balaram ki, Shri Shri Radha Chandra ki, Shri Shri Radha Madan Mohan ki, Shri Govindan ki, Shri Vrindavan ki, Shri Mayapur Dham ki, Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur ki, His Grace Hainder Prabhu ki, All the Bhaktivinoda ki, Gaur Premanande. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Nasteva, 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 Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Nasteva, 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 Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Shri Harinam Prabhu ki, Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki, Gaur Premanande. Pancha Kalpatarubhasya Kripasindhevich Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Anantakoti Vaishnava Srila Prabhupada ki.
Namaste. Hare Krishna. Shri Shri Radha Madan Mohan Mahaprabhu ki jai. Shri Shri Lakshmi Nrsimhadev Bhagavan ki jai. Sankirtan Yagya ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande. Okay, how many of you really feel like, can I just drop everything and sit in front of the Lordship and cry out the holy name? How many of you really feel? And how many of you really felt that I scratched the surface on that today? You did, right? And that was possible because we had a wonderful privilege and honor to have His Grace Madhava Prabhu and Her Grace Radhika Mataji. And as humble as they are, to chanting with them, you can feel that Jive Daya Krishna Nam Sarva Dharmasar. You could actually feel that it is the chanting the holy name is the Sarva Dharmasar. And that we could actually relished it, experienced it, and felt it today with the presence of each of you and the wonderful Vaishnavas present today. So we thank each of you and every one of you from our core of our heart for bringing us together and allowing all of us in association of each other to chant the holy name. So thank you very much for being here today. And it is a wonderful, wonderful evening that you're spending with us, and we are very grateful for you. So please give a big round of applause to yourself. And, thanks to the COVID, we also have an online presence. And we also want to thank you for being with us. You are very special to us, and thank you being participating in ISKCON of Silicon Valley live broadcast program. We'll continue our programs here at ISV. Next week, we will have the presence of His Holiness Janardhan Bhakti Vishramba Madhava Maharaj. Sorry. Bhakti Anugraha Maharaj, Janardhan Maharaj. He's my god brother, I still forget. He's still a new Maharaj to us, but Janardhan Maharaj, he will be here next Sunday, and he will be doing the online program on Wednesday. So please do come take his association as well. And we want to, without further delay, we want you to know that we do have a wonderful sponsor today. And Aditi Somani, is she here? Yes, there. And she's sponsoring today. She's shy, she doesn't want to come out, but do give her blessings. And she's sponsoring for her husband's birthday and a blessing for our dear kids. So thank you very much for sponsoring Aditi. Do collect the prasadam, Mangla sweets from Ahimsa Sweets from Sri Gopal Prabhu. You do not want to make sure you don't miss out on that one. Do we have any other sponsors that I might have missed? Do let us know. We would love to acknowledge you. You can reach out to us offline if you're too shy. But other than that, we will go into the prasadam prayers. And before that, Avantika will announce who the wonderful cooks are.
Hare Krishna. Today's prasadam was cooked by Ananda Mataji, Shamakaruna Mataji, Divyanand Prabhu, Gopi Priya Mataji, Braja Chandrika Mataji, Raghav Charan Prabhu, Shalini Mataji, Santosh Prabhu, Shriram Prabhu, Palika Mataji, Hitesh Prabhu, Rasamrita Sesh Prabhu, and Vaishnavi.
So we are short of space in the parking lot. If you park your car in the parking lot, please do remove them from the parking lot and park on the street. Thank you for considering the request. Hare Krishna.
And very importantly, there is a bathroom cleaning service available after the program. I just want to make sure we keep the momentum up, right? So please do take advantage of that. So plenty of services to clean up beside the restroom. We do have lots of dishes, and cooks have been cooking, from last 6 hours, and in this heat. Do appreciate them, and also take a time to do the dishes, clean the floor, or whatever you can come across, pick up the floor, treat it as keep the temple more cleaner than when you came in, okay? All right, do we have any first timers here? Who is visiting here for the first time? Wonderful, I think I saw you participating actively and asking a question. We very much welcome you. Please do let us know. Shri Gopal Prabhu, we can help you. And we have a wonderful lady in the back also who is here for the first time. Is that your first time? Yes. At ISV first time. At ISKCON of Silicon Valley. Yes. Thank you very much. We welcome you very much. Okay, without delay, we'll have Monisha lead us into the prasadam prayers. And thank you very much. And once again, we'll see you online on Wednesday.
Shanira Vidya Jo Hindriya Taheka Jeeve Vishaya Sakha Please come take prasadam outside. Very well.